Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be talking about the importance of birth control. Um, a lot of people don't really like talking about birth control. I don't know why it's such a touchy subject, but I feel that a lot of people should be comfortable with talking about birth control, especially if you have young children. To me, birth control is important because of the fact that I am a young mom and my first pregnancy was not planned. And if I was on birth control, my path would have been a bit different than it is now. Um, and with me having two girls, I feel it's very important to go ahead and pretty much start this talk. That way, I am comfortable in the long run. When they do need this talk, I'll be able to tell them exactly what I'm telling you guys. Birth control is very important because it encourages a healthy sex life, and birth control can actually regulate periods that a lot of women have. Um, and then the most important thing is that it helps unwanted pregnancies. So I'm going to go into details about how it encourages a healthy sex life, and then I'm going to talk about how it can regulate periods, and then I'm going to talk about how it helps unwanted pregnancies. Um, for the first part, having a healthy sex life is important when you have birth control because, for instance, condoms can help prevent STDs, and that's according to AIDS education prevention. Um, and that's important because a lot of STDs are not curable, and that's a bit scary. So when you're proactive and you have birth control, and especially if it's a condom, because that's what prevents STDs. Um, Pretty much, it's safe sex, and that's pretty much a healthy sex life. Another thing is that according to advocates for youth, is the more likely that you talk about birth control, you're more than likely to have birth control. And that's very important, especially for teenagers and young adults. Like, for instance, how I was. My parents didn't really give us the talk about birth control because they felt as if that was a pass to have sex with whoever. And that's really not the case. But for the most part, I think the overall picture is that safe sex is a must. It's very important. Um, so now we'll talk about how birth control can regulate periods. According to gynecological endocrinology, um, they state that you can have numerous problems as to why people have irregular uh, periods. And some of those are like weight gain, hormones, also like thyroid issues. That can all play a part. And a lot of people have to where they have their periods for more than 7 days, and that can be a bit stressful, having your period for longer than usual. And not only that, but it's also expensive. um, and there's also diseases that play a part in having that type of stuff, like endometriosis, which is pretty much they do have heavier periods. And I found that information out from the archives of OBGYN. And I didn't know that that actually can play a part as to having longer periods or heavier periods at that. And then you have the people who just don't have periods at all. And that can also be an issue, especially if you're trying for babies. But, when you have a birth control like the Mirena or other hormonal birth controls, it can actually regulate your period to where it's a on time thing. Especially the pill, I believe, has to where you know exactly when you're going to be on your period and when you're going to be off of it. So that's very important to have. And so now we'll talk about how it prevents unwanted pregnancies. And obviously, not birth control itself is 100% effective. Um, but it's pretty close. I believe it is 99% effective, and that itself, that's a pretty strong, for me, it's a pretty strong having a birth control that prevents pregnancies. The only thing that is 100% effective is obviously abstinence, but it's getting a lot harder with generation after generation to promote abstinence, and I feel very few people are abstinent. So it's better to just, instead of saying you can't have sex, it's better to just be prepared. Um, so while birth control isn't 100% effective, it's very important still because, I mean, having not only being protected from STDs, but, you know, not having babies when you least expect it to or when you're not ready to, especially for teenagers, that's a must. So I think people should actually take control and be prepared and actually take birth control, even if you're not sexually active, just be prepared for it. That's it.